Hello everybody, and just here, and welcome back to Isekai Shikkaku episode 9, in which I don't rightly know. We will continue our journey. We will go to the desert, as I can see from the very first frame of this episode, and that's basically all I know. The previous episode was very self-contained, right? It was a very nice story, actually. Like, genuinely very nice story. Probably one of my favorite episodes of this show so far. And it was very, as I said, self-contained, right? It had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an end. So it's kind of hard to know where are we gonna continue from there. Regardless, let's maybe talk in more detail about what happened in the previous episode, right? Shall we? Well, we started by arriving to some divine trees in whatchamacallit, not Blue Archive. What am I thinking of? Bye Bye Earth. Both start with B, you'll have to forgive me. In Bye Bye Earth, but we arrived at a sacred tree of some sort, right? The tree of the world tree, the tree of life, call it what you will. Essentially, Yggdrasil, that was not named Yggdrasil, which is already very curious, right? Creators of shows and stories in general usually just borrow from all those mythologies. So the world tree is, of course, Yggdrasil. Well, not in this case. There is a quiet little village at the foot of that tree, and the village elder tells us that he has a big problem. The whole village actually has a big problem because the world tree is dying. The leaves are falling and dropping, and they are half dried out already by the time they fall to the ground. So the tree clearly is not doing very well, and sorry, that was my moment. My cat's hair found its way to my mouth and I had to spit it out. So, the elder ascribes the illness of the world tree to the presence of otherworlders who have arrived in the area and built a big casino. Of course, they have superpowers. Some of them have the power of building, for example, so building a casino was no biggie. And it's generally just a den of debauchery. So that's probably something that the world tree, or the spirit of the world tree, rather, does not like. And maybe it's ill because of that. Maybe it shows the villagers that, yo, do something about it. We don't know that, but that's a probable cause. So we go there, and sure enough, it's a den of debauchery. And even one of the villagers, well, someone more on the outside of the village, opened... actually, did she open that bar? Or did the otherworlders build it and she's just a barmaid? I'm not sure. In any case, a red-headed woman named Eske, or Eshe, or however you pronounce it, is a barkeep there, and she already was living on the outskirts of the town. The village folk were kind of suspicious of her, calling her a witch and whatnot, and now she's serving alcohol and dances and whatnot to the evil otherworlders, so she's double the witch. We can't really do anything about it though, not this early on. In the meantime, Osamu runs out of his sleeping pills and at night goes to Eske's bar to hopefully find some alcohol maybe, or something like that, to stop feeling so darn good, because that's the worst possible thing, to be feeling good and able-bodied, right? He goes there, they have a talk, and Osamu finds something alluring about her, right? The profound sadness in her dance and whatnot. He comes back sufficiently better, no, sufficiently worse. And on the next day, another otherworlder appears, who claims that he will fix the whole entire thing, right? He will punish the evildoers and whatnot. I forgot. Osamu, before getting to the bar, goes to a cave with a lot of smoke, but that smoke isn't tobacco or any other kind of narcotic leaf that we would know from our world. It's the leaves of the spirit tree, the world tree, that have a certain pain-killing property to them when smoked, apparently. Right, the paladin guy decides to punish the evildoers. Osamu wants nothing to do with it, already giving us reasons to believe that he knows more than we think he might know, or anybody else for that matter. And what was the exact sequence of events? I'm actually not quite sure. I don't actually quite recall. In any case, the whole thing... Oh, I bumped my mic, sorry. In any case, the whole thing ends with the paladin guy, of course, fighting the evildoers, chasing them away, not killing them, despite his power having such a, grand name and whatnot. And of course, everything is fine now, right? The girl, the woman, Eska, she no longer is under the threat of the evildoers, so she of course wants to atone for what she did, right? She wants to turn on a new leaf. Well, not according to the villagers. The villagers throw shit at her and proclaim her a witch and whatnot, and they don't want her to atone. They want her out. And thus the image of this, perfect justice that our paladin had starts cracking a little bit. Our heroes promptly leave the village after Eska. Eska goes way ahead of them. Then it was before they leave. The villagers ask the paladin that, since you chased them off, would you like to stay here as our protector? And the leaf smoking business, well, we thought we might not want to get rid of it. It could bring some good money to the village, right? And the bar could also stay, actually. And those were the evil people exploiting the spirit tree, right? So it's good that they're gone. We are the good folk who are going to be exploiting the spirit tree. So of course it's gonna be good, right? And that's basically how it ends. The story of the paladin ends this way, right? Completely and utterly disenchanted. That's not a word, is it? Disillusioned with humanity, with justice and whatnot. And he goes through a little bit of a crisis of faith, you could say. Meanwhile, the tree just dies completely, starts shedding leaves, every single leaf dry, and something's not right. So Osamu and the gang leave and go where they need to go, and while Annette, Tama, and Nier are busy looking at the tree dying, Osamu looks in a different direction and sees nobody else but Eske standing there in a very ephemeral and ethereal form, and it turns out she was the spirit of the tree all along, and she's here to reward the one who gave her a little bit of tough love, but ultimately had his heart in the right place, instead of rewarding the people whose idea of justice is twisted like that. And even though they might have meant well, they didn't think things through. And so she gives Osamu the gift of a sleeping pill cornucopia. His bottle of pills will never run out, and that's where the story ends. Perfect ending, perfectly rounded up, perfectly self-contained, nice little bite-sized story. I loved it. And I wonder what today's episode will bring. Well, yesterday's technically, but I'm gonna release it today. So, how about we stop talking and start watching, right? And to do that, you're gonna need your subs, of course, to follow along with me. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show, and I'm gonna have to ask you for support the channel if you want to monetarily on Patreon, YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word, it costs you nothing and helps a lot. And with that, we can start watching Isekai Shikkaku episode 9 in 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, that's... of course. What do you mean? There's plenty of sand. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have chosen the shortest route. I'd say maybe taking a ship would have been better. Have you ever been to a desert? Oh, interesting. We actually haven't heard of his origins, did we? Okay. Don't travel during the daytime, yeah. Then that, sure. Sandworms? No. Mad Max bandits. Do they really have bikes in this world? Okay, I guess we're doing Mad Max now. Why not? I just came up with the dumbest possible idea. Looking at Annette's stuff, I just thought, what if they turned this franchise into a gacha and it had a collab with Dungeon Meshi, because Marcel also has a staff that's shaped like a ring like that. And it just came to me completely out of fucking nowhere. I mean, I guess not completely out of nowhere. Arknights is having a collab with Dungeon Meshi on the Chinese server, so I guess maybe that's what prompted it. I don't know, man. My mind scares me sometimes. I don't even know how they would be able to turn this franchise into a gacha. Like, what? Osamu? Santa Osamu? What else? Swimsuit Osamu? That would be a sight to behold. That's a nice pompadour. Oh, you're Otherworlders. And that's like a Kamen Rider mask? Huh. Perfect, isn't it? I guess they managed to tame some scorpions. Yeah, right, they're not bikes. They're just scorpions with handles. Sure. Yeah, probably a fair assumption. Tama? Annette? Maybe not. True. Well, Annette has healing magic, doesn't she? Maybe something to neutralize poison as well. Did you mention poison? Sorry, venom? Yep. Perfect. Oh, you have even that hooked up to the throttle. Of course, poison blood goes the other way as well. I guess the scorpion doesn't have like a backflow protection. That's gotta be one more level by this point, as at least. Sandworms. A wolf? Wolf in the desert? Oh, are we getting a character arc for Nier, perhaps? We get a character arc for Tama. Time for Nier to grow as a person. Running out of water, eh, Melos? I mean, he wanted to be stabbed and poisoned. What are we apologizing for? Also that, yes. Yeah, you're useful to have around. You're the guide, after all. You know the area. You know maybe, I don't know, which plants are safe to get water from. Oh, is that where Nier is from? Oh, it's not abandoned. Yep, sure enough, it's his orphanage. Even a newborn, eh? What's killing people so much in the area? Besides, you know, heat and scorpions and bandits and wolves apart. Actually, there's plenty of ways a person can die in this world, isn't there? Oh? Is it the sand bandits, perchance? Of course. Gotta get that MSG. Good question. I mean, he did get the resolve and did start on his journey, so in a way he did become someone who's trying to become a hero. Yeah, they're probably not stories you would like hearing. Yeah. That's the wolf. Is it the wolf who leaves the ingredients? Yeah, I can imagine. Why is the orphanage not closer to a city? Of course, but just in the middle of bumfuck nowhere desert. Yeah, those are claw marks. Slaughtered quite a few monsters. That's like half his HP. Yeah, it's just sensei. No worries. Oh no. A random dude. Who are you? I mean, he's obviously the person leaving the ingredients, but besides that... I mean, do it openly and you're gonna be able to actually, like, see them. Yeah. Oh, so you're a creep. Yeah. Don't forget your sword, Nier. Do you recognize it, perchance? Sure. Giving those children a dream. If Nier, who's from the orphanage, managed to become a hero, we can do anything we want as well, right? We're not just a bunch of urchins. We can pave a path for ourselves as well. That's a good sentiment. Yeah, I bet. You are. I mean, you already provide those kids with food. So clearly there's that, nice side to you. If only you didn't, creep at them through the window. Whose story was Sensei noting down? Nier's, probably. Yeah, yeah. Of course. They're not idols. They're not your Oshis, man. Okay, there is some story to this guy. I just wonder what it is. He did get hurt somehow because he needs crutches, but not so much that he can't walk without them. He clearly has a sentiment towards the orphanage. I mean, suffering. That's what you wanted, isn't it? Sweet suffering. Full moon. That's when werewolves come out. One of the kids is missing? Sure enough. Oh, kidnapped by the gangbangers. Is Nier gonna get a buff from Sensei, just like Tama did? Yeah, I'm still trembling. Sensei, a word of encouragement, if you will. Oh? He too is another worlder? But his memories of that were repressed somehow? Huh? So you were a cripple in the other world as well? And you were just pretending to be in this world. Right? Yeah, he's a werewolf. He's the werewolf, for sure. Yep. Just make sure that Annette and Tama don't attack him. Is that why he was hiding and not wanting to show himself to the children? Because of the whole, I'm a monster, I don't deserve to be, near people, and right? Hmm. Right, he was a cripple in the real world, and so he got that, you know, the power to move however he wishes in this world, and infinite strength and whatnot. Yeah, makes sense. Since their powers have to do with with the reason for their sadness. Not really with how they died, with the reason for their sadness. Why? No, it's not. Of course. You don't want. If you do that, you will be just like him. Right? This sort of bullshit. I hoped for more from you, Nier. I gotta say. I was hoping for more. He got over his fear very quickly, though. And with some nice finality. You do realize that the bandits will be back. Just, just asking if you do realize it. Well, now you can live at the orphanage and protect it, I'd say. Why your sadness then? The boy died? Oh, sadness because I can't repay the kindness. He protected me and I cannot protect him in return. I can only run. Yep. And cue the track. Exactly that. Hmm? What do you mean? Or your cowardice? Right, that's a question. Mm-hmm. Well, you didn't run this time, so always is automatically false already. Are we getting another self-contained episode? True. Yep. Not how I would have done it, but I can't deny that it did take a lot of strength from Nier, and a lot of courage, and a lot of sense of righteousness and whatnot. And you're gonna get sent back. So who's gonna protect the orphanage now? So that was what the dead monsters were. You wielded that power for another, yeah? Exactly. He's getting sent back and given a chance to save the kid. With his legs working or not? That's a question. Back to the real world, or well, original world. None of those worlds is any more or less real than another. Yeah, it just phased right through you. Where's your bird, Saito-san? Okay, so your legs are working, even if just a little bit. Yeah, another self-contained episode. Would you look at that? Oh, and that's it. And that is it. So let's watch it again, shall we? Yes, we shall. And I'm gonna have some things to complain here. I'm gonna tell you right from the get-go. Shortest route to the Driten Temple. Right, they went from the sacred tree. They had to cross the ocean. Question. Why only cross the strait and travel through the desert if you could have taken the ship around? Like, presumably, they went this path on the ship and then through the desert to the temple, right? Why didn't they just continue sailing the ship and arrive at the temple from the south? Could have done that, probably. So not the best thinking on your part, Annette, I'm afraid. Also, the shortest route to the Driten Temple, well, the shortest route would have been by the boat, by the ship. A ship can move faster than you can move on foot. So, you kind of fumbled that one, girl. Yeah, this very much was Nier's character arc in this episode. Probably not a full character arc, but this is the thing. This is the episode that got him out of that that initial slump, and kind of threw him into the process of growth, right? Because there are, as far as I'm concerned, there are two ways that you can do character growth. Character growth can either be gradual, right? The character starts here and then slowly over time grows. Or you can have a character start, maybe not even there, but like there, then quickly jump up a fair bit, and then continue growing. And this is what was done with Nier here. He got that initial jump, initial bump to get him above the like 0 line and show him that he can grow, right? All this time he didn't even know that he can get character growth, that he has the potential to grow, right? He was thinking of himself a coward and a liar, but now he knows, he was shown empirically that, you know what, maybe I'm not so bad after all. Maybe I can actually be the hero that I wanted to be. That was this episode for him. Otherworld Racing. This is such a weird cross between Kamen Rider and fucking Gurren Lagann Kamina, and the stereotypical, you know, pompadour-wearing hooligan. First boss of Huntsman, Otherworld Racing, Toru. Yep. Not that hard getting rid of them, thankfully. And right, this is already when we got to see that this is gonna be Nier's character arc, right? He has someone to protect. He has the resolve to be the valiant warrior, and yet his legs are shaking, his arms are shaking. He can't even find the strength in himself to protect anybody. We got that whole thing solved comedically, right? In a very light-hearted way. Sensei's poisoned the scorpion, right? And then they removed themselves. But this episode, outside of this comedic moment, did get pretty heavy in the end. Yeah, we're counting on you. Of course, Nier comes from an orphanage. That was kind of predictable. Although I really thought that he actually was like a street urchin, not really living in any orphanage or any like other family or anything like that, but just living in the streets from the age of like 10 or whatever. But no, he was raised in the orphanage until sometime. Like, how old is Nier? Usually children stay in the orphanage until the age of majority, right? Or a couple years earlier they can maybe like do some paperwork and whatnot to become emancipated, right? That's usually how it goes. In Poland, I believe it's like 18 years old until you have to get out of the orphanage, and at 16, I think, is the earliest that you can like want to be fully emancipated and go through the whole like judge trials and psychology evaluation and whatnot to eventually get the permission. Nier is, I would say, 14 at the latest, and that's being generous. So either the age of majority in this world is something about that, or the woman who's running the orphanage allowed him to go on a dangerous journey before he came of age, which is very responsible on her part. I don't think we're supposed to think of that. Like, make no mistake, right? This whole entire episode was focusing entirely on just Nier's growth. We're not really supposed to be nitpicking around like that, but I can't help it. I really do like nitpicking. What are they having? Some meat, some lettuce, some vegetables, and some soup. Kind person has been donating food. Synthetic seasoning, of course. Hook me up with some B12, 1214 and NA 17.8 or whatever are the codes for what's in Tic Tacs. Any E's or B's? No, not really. Magnesium salts of fatty acids, or however you translate it. So, yes, that's something. Maltodextrin. Well, that sounds chemical. Probably isn't. But oh, I have a better example. Those were some weird Mentos. Brilliant blue FCF. That's something. Again, the magnesium salts. Riboflavin, well, that's just a vitamin. They're not as bad as I thought they would be. Surprising, actually. Just mostly sugar and, like, rice starch, I think, in case of Tic Tacs. Yeah, sugar, maltodextrin, fructose, Arab gum, yeah, and then rice, flour. Regardless, valiant hero, yeah, not quite become one, but he is certainly on a path to become one. Not the kind of stories for children, of course. Savage monster. Yeah, those are dead monsters. I thought initially that it might be the wolf who hunts those monsters down and then turns them into the meat that he delivers to the orphanage, right? I thought that they just, enjoy their mystery meat and they don't know that it comes from a lizard person or whatever. But no, not quite. Not quite how it goes. Not the wolf, and at the same time, yes, the wolf. A random guy. Yeah, I was wondering, actually, where did he come from? If this orphanage was in a village, in a town, in a city, then sure, one of the townsfolk wants to support the orphanage. But this orphanage is, for some reason, just in the middle of the desert. And this is one of the things. One of the things? Well, I guess besides Nier apparently leaving the orphanage before he was of age. But yeah, this is one of the things that kind of shakes up my suspension of disbelief a little bit. An orphanage being just completely and utterly removed from any sort of town, any sort of city. I can see the townsfolk or the villagers or whatever being against the orphanage being like in the middle of the town, for example. But then the orphanage would at least be on the outskirts. That's how it usually is in worlds like that. The orphanage is on the outskirts, maybe in the bit of a ghetto area, not particularly safe, not particularly clean, but it's still within the city walls. This is not. And I gotta question why. Has there been a city here or a village, but it just fell to time and eroded, but this building didn't? Probably not. Did the townsfolk want to remove the orphanage like this much? No, not really. Like, they would not really have a reason to build this building this far away from town, where you can't even see the town from anywhere. It doesn't make sense either. Is this a building that used to be something else but then was repurposed into being an orphanage? Well, what could it have been? It's not a farmhouse building. There's no farm in the area. It's not a fisherman's hut. It's not nothing. There's nothing to be done in a desert. So what could it even be? It's weird, the location of this orphanage. Very weird, and not in like a good way. Very pretty starry sky. Yeah, his sword right next to the crutches. This is very good thinking on Nier's part. I really like it. I want to become a whatchamacallit, not an idol, an inspiration. Yeah, I want to become an inspiration for those children. If they see that I can become a mighty, valiant warrior, then they will not immediately discard their dreams, right? It's very easy for a child in an orphanage to, especially in a world like this, to get the mindset of, well, I'm just an orphan. How am I to become a, I don't know, an architect or whatever? Or how am I to become a shopkeep? It's impossible for me. But now they're gonna have an inspiration. Well, Nier managed to become a motherfucking hero, and I can't become a shopkeep? Of course I can become a shopkeep. I can become the best merchant in town. I can travel the world and bring spices from faraway lands. Of course I can do that, right? The fact that I'm from this orphanage doesn't mean I'm worse somehow. Actually, it means I'm better, because Nier also comes from this orphanage, right? It's good. I like it. Very nice sentiment on Nier's part. I wish I could be as kind as you. Right, we already got a bit of a foreshadowing on what his issue is. I don't deserve to. Yep, again, bit of foreshadowing. Oasis getting some coconuts or like mango lemon things. I don't know, some sweet potatoes, some corn. Apparently corn grows in an oasis. Didn't know that. Yeah, that's the exact kind of suffering that I guess Osamu doesn't appreciate. He likes plenty of suffering, just not suffering children being hyperactive. What was the kid doing outside for the gangoons to be able to snatch him, I wonder? Trying to follow Nier's footsteps, maybe? See, that would be a nice bit to include here, to explain it, and it would be so very easy. Have this kid be outside, swinging stick around, being, I wanna be like Big Brother Nier! And those motherfuckers roll up and just snatch him, right? Just a simple little tiny short scene, and it would do a lot, I think. But whatever. That's such a mild criticism that it's not even fully worth voicing, really. Yeah, everybody was kung fu fighting except Nier. And this is the big thing here that he said. Nate is in danger, so why won't my legs move? That's what resonated with this guy. Legs. So interesting that it seems like he had his memories of the past world, what? Suppressed? Forgotten? I don't know. Like, if we're going the way of bringing all sorts of various isekai tropes into here, then sure, makes sense. There's plenty of isekai stories where the trope used is that it begins as if it was a normal fantasy story, but then it turns out that, oh, what? Steel wagons that move without horses. Ugh. What? Those build... They're called skyscrapers. How do I know that, right? And it turns out that, oh, the main character actually got isekai'd and just for gore. Or something along those lines. So I guess he might be this sort of a trope? I don't know, it's not really explored here, but then again, it's just a single episode. Not much space to explore that, is there? Yeah, I lost something important because of my legs. Indeed. But now I have power to become a mighty werewolf. and to protect what I wish to protect, and the power to not run when I don't want to run. Simple as. Even the evildoers are fleeing because they fear my strength. Yep. I was a scrawny, crippled nobody, and now I can run freely. I used to not be able to protect what I hold dear, and now I have been given the power to protect. Right? Perfect, like, reversal of the reason for his sadness. This... let's talk about this. If you've watched my channel for some time, then you know that I'm really not fond of the whole trope of, no, if you kill him, then you will be just like him. No, don't go to the dark side. Killing is bad. I fucking hate that shit. Just, you know, just to make it straight. In this case, it's mixed. Because on one hand, it makes perfect sense for Nier's character, right? Nier, ultimately, is not jaded. He's an idealist, right? He believes in justice, and killing someone who's already running away, well, that's not justice. At this point, you're not protecting anybody, you're just hunting people down, right? Chase them off, kill those who were not chased off, sure, but if they are fleeing, don't approach, right? I can see Nier's thinking here, and I can see why he's doing what he's doing from like a narrative and character standpoint, sure. But I don't want to say the jaded side of me, because there was nothing in my life to jade me into kill the bandits or they're gonna come back for you kind of thinking, right? I have not been living in a world like that. But kill the bandits or they're gonna come back and hunt you down. Still, this is a mistake, what Nier did. It makes sense for his character, yes. It makes sense for the tone of this show. It makes sense for the tone of this arc, and for the kind of a character arc that Nier is going through, and for who the characters are and everything, right? It makes sense from purely this standpoint, but it doesn't make sense from the very, like, realistic and pragmatic standpoint. You chase them off, they're gonna be back. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in a week, maybe not in a month, but they will be back. They will send a scout. Is the wolf still around? Well, the wolf isn't around. Okay, let's not just, not just get our payment that is due. No, let's exact our vengeance. Right? It starts being something completely different now. Which is, again, one of the reasons why I really like the approach of Goblin Slayer, right? Killing goblins, killing female goblins, killing goblin children. Why? Well, goblin children cannot hurt you. No, not right now, but they will. They will grow up, and they will hurt you, and they will remember your face, and they might even exact vengeance on you. So you get rid of everything that could harm you in the future, right? You let a random minor villain, like a random dude in a balaclava who beat up a homeless person, you let him go, right? You threaten him and you destroy his plan and you let him go. Next time you see him, he's already a supervillain doped up on gamma radiation and toxic sludge, right? You let them go, and they rebuild, and they will remember the wolf, and they will remember the kid, and they will remember that the orphanage is near and dear to them. How to hurt those people best? Destroy what they care about the most. Letting them go from this standpoint is a huge fucking mistake. It wouldn't have been a mistake if, as I thought initially, the werewolf man stayed behind, right? If he stayed at the orphanage or maybe nearby the orphanage, right? Let's have someone who's gonna bring us some food. The orphanage kids clearly are unable to do that, but this guy is able to. Let him do that, right? Let him make up for whatever he feels he's deficient at in this way, right? He feels he's not a good person, let him atone, quote unquote, this way, and let him protect the orphanage. He was not able to protect his friend, now he's able to protect so many children, right? Make up for it. But he was sent back, which is good, sure, in its own right, absolutely, but now the orphanage has no protection. Nier is going with Sensei as well, he's not staying. And the orphanage is ripe for the picking. What have I done? Nothing bad, my dude. Nothing bad. Yeah? The boy saved me, but then I was unable to save the boy, and I ran away instead, the coward that I am. You've chosen to interpret events rather favorably for yourself, haven't you? Are your legs really the reason you couldn't help him? That is actually a very good question, and sure, it might be cruel on Sensei's part. I would even say that it is cruel on his part to word it this way, yes. But also, it's not a lie. He could have done something, right? Go away briefly and call the police. Call the passerbys for help. Do something, right? There were things that he could have done instead of just turning his back and running away. Sure, yes. But still, truth it might be, it is harsh. Maybe too harsh even. And of course Nier doesn't want to hear that either, because he knows what it means to be just overtaken by fear. Fear makes you not think right. Fear is one of the primary feelings and emotions that you can get. You have very little control of yourself when you're afraid, unless you train that heavily. People do all sorts of things when they're afraid. So yeah, don't blame him for that. And it's coming from Nier because, again, he knows what it is. And this guy taking blame from Sensei feels like Nier taking blame by proxy for his own failings. But yeah, Nier doesn't have much to be, much to be desired from himself. It was him that stopped the werewolf. Yes, he's a valiant warrior like that. He fights for what's good, even if he might be misguided in that fight a little. Even if he might be fighting for people who don't deserve to be fought for. Even if he tries to save people who would be better off not saved. It's still coming from the place of valor, from the place of good. Undoubtedly. Perhaps you are cowardly, yes, but the same goes for you, my dude. You are also kinder than most. You protected the orphanage. So don't put yourself down either. Whatever you told Nier right now, well, that also pertains to you just as much. Especially when we have a comparison with other worlders who, as Sensei says, succumbed to their desires and their powers. But he did not. He kept doing what he thought was right. Yeah. And he got the things in the end and got sent back to his world. I thought initially that he might be sent back in time a little bit to perhaps do something about this situation, but no. He got sent back into the exact same moment. And the kid doesn't hold it against him that he ran away. Of course he doesn't. Who would expect a crippled man in a wheelchair to fight for them? Nobody would. Especially not a kid who's as kind-hearted as he is. Even if the old man tried to fight, tried to protect him, the kid would have said, "No, mister, run away. Don't get involved." Right? Of course that's the case. Cool. Sure. I hope in the next episode we're gonna get some closure, though. I gotta say. Okay. So, that was episode 9 of Isekai Shikkaku. It was a good one. It got a fair bit of character growth for Nier, which is cool. Tama got her own arc, essentially. Nier got his own episode. I'm assuming it's only Annette left to get her character arc, and I think she might get a character arc when we arrive at this new temple. Maybe. Seeing a fellow priest who isn't Isha might stir something in her. I don't know, but that would be my expectation. Interesting to see 2 self-contained episodes back to back, though. I gotta say, like, so far, well, we only got a sample size of 1, really, because we got an arc, then a self-contained episode meeting Nier, and then an arc, right? Well, not counting the couple of self-contained episodes early on. Actually, we got the self-contained episode with the princess, then we got the Isha city arc, then we got a self-contained episode with Nier, then we got the Tama arc, then we got the self-contained episode with the World Tree, and now we get another self-contained episode. So that kind of goes out of the whatchamacallit, the pattern a little bit, you could say. But sure, I mean, it's not a criticism, it's just observation. I wonder if we're gonna get a full proper arc next time. I think we will. Right, we're gonna arrive to the next big city, to the next temple, and we're gonna get an arc. Whether it will be Annette's character growth arc, I don't know. That remains to be seen. We have how many episodes to go? It's 12. So 10, 11, 12, 3 episodes, perfect for a single arc, right? I said that I wish that this episode gets some closure. I don't think it will, because maybe besides Nier mentioning something in passing, right? Next episode begins, and they're like, "Oh, the kids were really grateful for what we did to them," or something along those lines. But I don't expect more than that. But I still would have liked some. It's odd, because I can see what this story and this episode was going for. And if we just take what it was going for, then it doesn't need closure. It got all the closure that it needed. But what this episode was like supposed to be did not include us thinking about, why is this orphanage in the middle of nowhere? What's gonna happen to the orphanage now that the bandits are let go and on the loose and they can come back anytime? What's gonna happen to the orphanage now that the good man is not there to bring them food, right? That's another big thing. He was bringing them food. Who's gonna provide for them now? We're not supposed to be thinking about that, I don't think. And that's why we're probably not gonna get closure. But I can't help but think about that, and thus I would very much like to get at least something, at least like a scene, the period before the opening, show them solve those problems somehow, right? Like, I know that you get used to this orphanage, but it's really dangerous in the middle of the desert. There's a town nearby. How about you move there? There's an abandoned building. We're gonna help you move there. And that's where we let go of it, right? The bandits are handled because now they stay behind nice thick city walls. The problem of food is handled because they could presumably buy some food on the market from whatever money they managed to to scrounge up, right? All those problems. Why is the orphanage in the middle of the desert? Well, it no longer is. Now it's in the town, right? All those things would have been solved. Or any other way to answer those concerns. But again, that's only because I was able. You don't even need to be able to spot those things because they are just so overt. But because I paid attention to those things, that's why I would like some closure. But if we just go by what this episode was supposed to be, we don't need the closure. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, actually, I don't think I have anything more to say on the topic of this episode. Not really. I said everything I think during the course of it. The biggest thing was just the letting the bandits go. That's something that always irks me to no end, but I talked about it at the end, so yeah, that's gonna be it. But maybe you guys have something more to add on the topic of this episode, of my reaction, my theories, stuff like that. If so, say so in the comments down below. Did you notice the things that I did? Do they bother you just as much as they bother me, or do you just not care and it was just a nice story? I'm curious to hear about it. No spoilers though. Please, spoilers can go to my Discord here, also in the description. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to be notified of future videos, not only Isekai Shikkaku but also Bye Bye Earth, Vistoria, QA, Isekai, Spice and Wolf, plenty others. Click the bell to be notified of when those videos go live and when I go live, because I stream sometimes. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon down below, where for $10 you get early access to non-seasonal shows, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. You can also support me directly on YouTube through membership, super thanks, super chats, stuff like that. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word, it costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB, Without a Nedze, Rene, Sam Greenwood, Yuki Ali, Dr. Watakama, Samar Fasan, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want without having to turn into a werewolf.